going on, guys? You know the drill by now. Here I am again. And I'm working on this shaping process again, as you can see, which I mentioned that I was going to do. And so here's where I'm at right now. And the glove's laying there, just kind of chilling with no ringlets. And it's one of the cool things about building up one of these to the point to where everything is all ready to go, because then you can just kind of lay them out like this and they work pretty good just laying there. So it's one of the things that you can do to tell whether you really have it down to where you want it or not, is if you can lay it out like this, you can feel pretty good about it. But there's still problems going on with it, and I had to do some major adjustments to this area right here, which you can see that nice little ring of light going on there. And you can see how it kind of connects into this other area here. So that was one of the things that I had to fix, and that helped out a whole lot. As a matter of fact, that helped out like tremendously, just that one little place. So there it is. And as far as this other stuff goes, you know, some of it's pretty good and some of it's not. You can see how the light's hitting certain parts of it and what's going on with it as far as the back plate goes. So even though I thought the back plate was finalized in shape, I was wrong. It is finalized in template though, so that's good. I've at least got it that far. And you know, some of the shaping on this is pretty rough, because I did go through and just really wreck it trying to get the shapes that I was looking for. So some of the light play on it is going to be funny anyway, and it's not going to be, you know, fixable. But I know which light that I want to keep on there, and you know what beams are good and which ones I need to get rid of and eradicate the next time that I do it. And I actually did a whole bunch of changes to the plate itself. So many that from my prototype that it's pretty ridiculous, really. But it's very similar, but it's a lot different at the same time. Especially the front bends that I use changed quite a bit, and I haven't even tested them out yet. I just adjusted them. So once I get them on, I'll test them out, and I'll probably film that, and we'll see how that goes, because it should work. But that's something else I wanted to talk about, is the back plate in specific. And this is something that, you know, our good builder friend Mr. Travis Castle has mentioned in one of his videos. That here recently, you know, we found out that this back plate was actually made of a lot thinner brass than we realized, and that it was somewhat flexible and maneuverable. And this is pretty apparent. This explains a whole lot of things, because in the Nightmare 1 movie, when the Part 1 glove, you can see in different scenes where the back plate appears different in different scenes. It's kind of just, you know, it's got its basic shape going on, but there's just differences as far as how much it buckles up and things like that. And then it makes sense that if it was flexible, certain positions would cause certain areas of the plate to buckle more than others and things like that. So that might explain why the plate looked so different in every different scene. And plus the glove was still under construction. So for me, I've got this thing done in the front. As far as the front goes, I'm not going to say it's accurate, because I don't know what's underneath the knuckles in the front. You know, I can get a basic idea, and I've got it somewhat similar to what I can see is under the knuckles of the original glove, but it's a little bit different, because I'm looking for a specific pose. And that's another thing that, you know, Mr. Travis Castle talks about, is the different poses and how, you know, the glove might be tweaked a little bit different. Especially if this brass is really flexible, it only makes sense that maybe it did tweak a little different. So if you're working with this hard brass like I am, and it's not super thick, but it's thicker than, you know, it's thicker than the original, the real brass on the original, and it's certainly not flexible. So I have to shape this thing out into a basic shape that, you know, will create a pose that I'm happy with. And that's an interesting topic in my opinion, as far as, you know, shaping the front differently depending on what pose you're looking for. I think that's an interesting topic, so you guys should let me know what you think about that. And another thing that I wanted to talk about is the reference that I'm using, because, you know, I'm using a lot of part 1 reference, obviously, because I'm building a part 1, but, you know, a lot of builders build the part 2. The part 2 is a lot more popular than the part 1, and I used to wonder why. And the more that I do really try to use reference and get this thing down to something close to accurate, actually. I mean, you know, I'm not going to say it's accurate. Don't want any contention going on with that, you know, don't want any wars or anything. But I am trying to get it as accurate as I can. And, you know, if you're trying to get it as accurate as you can, you want to use reference. And most of the reference that's available is really, some of the best reference that's available is the part 2. And, you know, that makes me feel like that might be a big reason why the part 2 is a more popular build than the part 1. Simply because there's a lot more reference to the part 2 and the differences between it and the first one, you know, than there is with the actual part 1 glove. You just have to go by what promo pictures exist, what screenshots you can grab, and that's pretty much all you got with the part 1. Part 2, you've got all kinds of reference, so I've had to use some part 2 reference too, you know, and I've used a lot of it, and I've tried to avoid getting a hybrid look or feel to it and keep the main part 1 feel, but I have had to use a lot of part 2 reference in order to get this to where it's at, and it's still not where I want it. And luckily I'm finding lots of things that I need to change, and figuring out lots of things as to why certain parts of it aren't working the way I want. So that's good, because I now can implement that into the next template set, which will be the 3rd set of pre-final templates. And I think that the 3rd set will definitely be a lot closer from what, you know, from what I've studied from all this. So anyway, that's it. That's all of my rambling that I can do for right now. I just wanted to show you what I'm doing here in my little work area. And this is pretty much what it looks like when I'm working. I just work here on the floor and make a big mess everywhere. Drink lots of energy drinks and eat beef jerky and clean my tools with Mean Green. So anyway, guys, that's it. I'll put up another video probably later. Thanks for watching.